Is all set? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. Time is 2:02 p.m. Welcome to our weekly business meeting. Calling the meeting to order, attending Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Phillips. And I'm going to ask, Jamila, would you lead us in the pledge?
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I only caught it barely after you last night.
Okay.
Change those back.
So moving on to, or beginning with our consent calendar.
I move we approve the consent calendar as listed on our business meeting agenda for November 9th, 2021.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, motion's carried. Payables list, please.
I move that we approve the payables for the week of November 1st through the 5th, 2021 in the amount of $438,077.10.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
I think item 10 is pulled.
Okay, so we're striking item 10. Thank you. First action item, bid opening 2021-07 with Knuckle Boom Crane, solid waste.
Right, we have received one bid from Jack T. Makinson, Crane Equipment Manufacturer Corp. So much for the easy open.
What's your hands?
Apparently they didn't know sealed bid didn't mean can't get into it ever. Okay. The purchase price for the 215 Southwest Grizzly Knuckle Boom Crane with Power Pack 48-inch cab and AC, $201,250. And then I think that's all you need.
Is that all you need?
Okay.
Okay.
So then I move that we acknowledge the receipt of the bid and send it to Legal and Solid Waste for review.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, motion is carried. Moving on to the second item, which is awarding bid 2021-06 for the transfer trailers, solid waste. JP, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Phillips for the record. The Solid Waste Department recently solicited for bids for 4 new transfer trailers for moving garbage from the transfer station to the landfill. Wilkins Industries was the sole bidder and did meet or exceed all bid specifications. The total price of the bid came in over what was budgeted by 16.25% for a total bid price of $485,926 for the 4 trailers. This equates to about $67,926 over budget. The price is higher than originally anticipated, but it is within reason given the increased prices of labor and materials. The department is in need of these trailers, and this is primarily due to significantly increased garbage loads at the transfer stations, as well as a continually aging fleet. We've reached out to Dena Darrow for input about financing this increased amount, and Dena has indicated that the department does have the funds to cover these additional costs. In summary, the Solid Waste Department requests that the BOCC award bid number 2021-06 to Wilkins Industries for the purchase of 4 new transfer trailers at a total purchase price of $485,926.
Okay, any questions for JP? Okay.
Nope.
A motion, please?
Sure. Bill, did you want to take this one or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. I move that we award bid 2021-06 for the transfer trailers at Solid Waste to Wilkins Industries.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, the motion's carried. Item number 3, independent contractor agreement for personal services. This is Appraisal Tech Consultant, party of Cox, our assessor's office.
Béla's on the phone.
Béla?
Commissioners, this is Béla Kovacs attending telephonically. It is respectfully recommended the Board of County Commissioners approve and authorize execution of that agreement, which I have submitted to the board. I provided a memorandum that explains the background as well as the recommendation. The scope of work pertains directly to the property revaluation process as set forth in Section 63-314 Idaho Code. We have had the agreement reviewed by legal counsel, as well as we had legal counsel review and opine on whether or not the CAT 46 funding used for the revaluation purposes can be used to make payments under this agreement. It is an indefinite quantity, indefinite delivery contract, time and materials. We tried to anticipate as much as is reasonably possible the scope and what the nature and the type of work that we will have done in it, so that the value that we have set forth there in the agreement is estimated, but the actual dollar value will vary depending upon the use of the agreement.
Okay. Specifically, what types of services? Is it residential and/or construction? And/or commercial?
It is primarily residential, but yes, it would also be used in support of commercial, but to a small extent, but primarily residential. The processes that have been typically been performed by our comptroller and our appraisal technician, 2 positions.
Okay.
Béla, you're kind of hard to hear. Can you tell me where the funding's coming from again?
CAT 46.
Okay, is that your, I don't have those numbers memorized. Is that your consultant budget?
It is the particular funding that has been set aside by I believe the Board of County Commissioners authorizes that to be set aside particularly for valuation purposes.
Okay.
These funds were not budgeted. The funds that we need to expend on this agreement were not a separate specific budget item for fiscal year 2022. And that is why, but it does, the actual use of this contract is going to directly pertain to revaluation, which is why the commissioners have a set-aside fund called CAT 46 that is used for that purpose.
Gotcha.
Ina?
Yeah, it's Fund 46 is the revaluation fund.
Okay.
The restricted fund.
Yeah. So the assessors, the rest of his departments come out of the general fund, but Fund 46 specifically is for revaluation.
Got it.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Bill, did you want to leave it with Leslie? Okay, go ahead, Leslie.
I move we approve the independent contractor agreement for personal services in the appraisal tech arena with Cox.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, and motion's carried. Item number 4.
Is there a reason why that sounded so bad?
I don't know if it's Béla's phone or what.
Oh, I mean, we could hear it. It was a little bit on the faint side.
Yes, it was very muffled and,
It sounded like we were in an echo, Jim.
okay,
Okay.
All right, let's try.
okay, that's all.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Item 4, letter of authorization for professional services with Manatron Inc. for Manatron Inc. Aumentum Technologies. Once again, the assessor. Is it Béla? Béla, you there?
Commissioner, I am. This the second item on the agenda, item 4, we are in need of pulling in a consultant who works with Manatron, who is it's now known as ProVal, our ProVal system. Again, it's the same CAT 46 funding that we would be using for this, and that is to address certain deficiencies in our system. This is a matter for which IT, Matt Snow, had come before the board and sought approval by the board for the budget for this year, the $50,000. I believe Matt Snow opined that $50,000 was just an estimate. The actual value will vary. So this value, I believe the value of this contract is $4,000, and that will come out of the $50 that the board has previously authorized. We are asking for the board's approval to go ahead and sign this contract. This is considered to be an amendment to the existing master agreement, which a prior Board of County Commissioners with Kootenai County had executed on behalf of the county.
Okay. Any questions for Béla?
Nope.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve the letter of authorization or the agreement for professional services and Manatron Inc., Mgmt Technologies.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, motion's carried. Thank you, Béla. Item number 5, purchase agreement with Munson Boats for Parks and Waterways. Nick.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nick Snyder for the record. Before you is a purchase agreement with the William E. Munson Company in the amount of $746,893 necessary to replace our 25-year-old workboat. Of the total cost, $350,000 of that will be paid by a state grant award, and the remaining $396,893 will be paid from the boat launch user fee account. So it's important to note that no general fund dollars will be used to pay for this project. I've met with Director Darrow, and she confirms, in fact, that we have fund balance available, and as fund balance builds, by the time we pay the final amount, we should have plenty in that account. So the funds are available, and we're ready to go.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
When do you expect delivery?
The contract stipulates June of 2023, so we're hopeful that it's delivered sooner, but by the time the grant extension expires.
So this is a custom build, huh?
It is, Commissioner, certainly not something we can buy off the shelf, so to speak. It's outfitted with turbo diesels for tugging purposes. It's a landing craft, so we can load vehicles and equipment onto it. So not something we can buy at the local boat store.
Does it also fly? Okay, that's
It should unload it, so without much horsepower. So
motion.
I move that we approve the purchase agreement with Munson Boats for our Parks and Waterways boat.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, motion's carried. Item number 6, County Annual Juvenile Justice Report with the Idaho Department of Juvenile Corrections and Juvenile Probation. Deb Nadeau, go right ahead, Deb.
Commissioners, Deb Nadeau for the record. This is our fiscal year 21 annual report to, our data report to Department of Juvenile Corrections. It includes race, gender, age, successful completions of probation, recidivism numbers. It shows that we collected $21,846 in restitution for victims of juvenile crime in our community. We had 626 hours of community service done through our WILD program. Judge Christensen has reviewed this report as well. We continue with high successful rates of probation completion and very low recidivism rates.
Okay. We're almost a model for the state, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Good job, Deb.
Thank you.
Good job.
Commissioners.
Do we need a motion, or are we simply accepting? What?
It requires your signature.
Okay, so we need to execute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I move that we authorize chairman to execute the annual juvenile justice report.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Consent to assignment of leases at the airport, AAL 99-30, AAL-2009-070 for the Party of Johnson at the airport. Stephen?
Commissioner Stephen Carrera for the record. This is a consignment from a husband to a wife with the husband passing away. So it's just staying within the family. It's just needing to address it.
Okay. Motion?
I move that we approve the assignment of leases, AAL 99-30, AAL 2009-070 Johnson.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 8, consent to sublease, Party of Snowden and Clear Blue Aviation LLC, also at the airport. Stephen?
Commissioner Stephen Carrera again for the record. This is a consent to sublease. It follows our standardized consent form, and it doesn't cause any issues.
Motion.
I move we approve the sublease with Snowden and Clear Blue Aviation LLC.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips,
Aye, motion's carried. Item number 9, stop-loss renewal with Regents.
Dorothy.
Right. And Alliance Benefit Services. HR Dorothy, please.
Yes, Dorothy Cross for the record. This is, Scott did a fantastic job for us this year. Regents agreed to $140.85 per employee per month for stop loss, which is exactly the amount we've paid all of this year. So we're locked in for 2022 with no increase to stop loss.
Okay. So,
And it just requires your signature.
okay. Are we okay? Were there any changes? I didn't quite get the whole thing.
No, it's they negotiated a really good price and,
Okay.
yeah, so it's a really good deal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Motion.
we're locked in at the same rate, Chris.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that, Dorothy.
Go up.
Okay, motion.
I move that we approve the stop loss renewal with Regents and Alliance Benefit Services.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips,
Aye, motion's carried. Item 10 has been stricken. Item 11, 2021 subrecipient agreement for emergency management, for the Emergency Management Professional Grant, Office of Emergency Management. Rachel?
Actually, Tiffany's
Tiffany,
online.
go right ahead.
Yeah, Tiffany Westbrook for the record. The item before you is the subrecipient agreement for the 2021 EMPG ARPA grant in the amount of $55,699.44. We are seeking your approval for this. This grant follows the same requirements as our regular EMPG. And as mentioned before, it does require a 50% match. However, we already have those funds to cover this requirement in our budget.
Okay, any questions? Motion?
I move that we approve the 2021 subrecipient agreement in the Emergency Management Performance Grant.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips,
Aye, motion's carried. Item number 12, grant award amendment number 18 WFM with Kootenai and the Fernand Lake Natural Area, Idaho Department of Lands, sponsored by our Resource Management Office and the Office of Emergency Management. Is Kim on for this? Kim?
Yes, Kim Riley for the record. Thank you. This is an amendment to the Fernand Lake Natural Area Memo of Understanding with Idaho Department of Lands. It reduces the budget by $5,000 due to IDL burning some of the slash piles. It also changes the scope to reduce the number of landowners involved in chipping services due to lack of interest. It expands outreach so that we could use Zoom and Teams for virtual meetings due to COVID. And then it also changed the OEM staff person from Sandy to Tiffany.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve the grant award amendment number 18 WFM for the Kootenai Fernand Lake Natural Area and Idaho Department of Lands.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips,
Aye, motion carried. Item 13, request to change for a budget line item for the purchase of a K-9 vehicle, adult misdemeanor probation. Keith?
Good evening. How you doing? Quick question that
It's
came in.
still afternoon, man.
Yeah, really. It kind of all blends together. It's so dark outside right now.
Correct.
I come before you some unseen circumstances. I bidded out a Dodge vehicle to replace the current K-9 vehicle, which was approved in the budget. Well, Dodge does not have any numbers. They're not doing fleet numbers. They're not giving it to us. So I had to bid out a Ford Explorer, which changes some of the equipment in it. The total difference was $8,800 in the change. So I'll give you a couple background. My original bid I got back in December of 2020, so we couldn't really foresee what was going to happen. This was done through the general fund balance at the time. I called again this morning. They still don't have numbers. Stay with us, stay with us. And they're like, yeah, you might want to order Ford, as they say at the end of it. The equipment that goes in the 2022 Ford vehicle can't be retrofitted from another vehicle. So that's why we have to buy new equipment for the vehicle. Also, I was able to get the new radio that goes in through the Homeland Security grant, which you guys approved a couple of weeks ago. Currently, also, to offset some of this, I brought up in the budget time, we're going to use some of the seizure money, or not, we're going to use it all to help offset the monies. Last year also, I thought it was a good thing to bring up, is that we had $9,500 left over in our operation budget, which I thought we did well, and we cut our budget 9% this year. Kind of shot myself in the foot. So I'm back in here kind of asking to see if you guys can help me out, and we could purchase the vehicle and have you guys sign the equipment and the vehicle quotes so we can get moving forward to try to have this vehicle.
What's actually involved when you equip for K-9? I mean, I know that you've got the cage, but.
Yeah, you got the internal cage is the most expensive part of it. It's $4,500 to $5,000. Then you have the internal also is we put a vault system in the back, which we can secure all the, because his training aids are narcotics and stuff like that. So you have to be able to secure them inside the vehicle. The vault system itself is $2,500. Then we have also just rear warning lights because he gets called to the streets a lot. As last Wednesday, he worked with the state police on their interdictions. Did 11 stops and had 11 fines.
Wow.
So he was batting pretty good last week. So, but again, he doesn't have lights to the front to stop anybody. It's just to the rear, so nobody rear ends the vehicle when he's out on the side of the highway.
Now, did they deploy the dog in every one of those?
Yes. Yep.
All 11?
Yeah. So it was. He was working down off Highway 58.
Yeah, so this is our drug dog, not our go get 'em dog.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, it's not to go get him guy. But he's just like, hey. So it was pretty neat, and a good thing came out of it. There was a person that had to be arrested, and the young lady, there was a young girl in the car, got to play catch with the dog. So the dog's very friendly. Yes, you guys should see him on the front thing over here. So again, I'm just asking for, sorry for the adjustment.
That's
I just
okay.
could not foresee this last December.
Understood.
For the adjustment and signing of the quote and the equipment so we can get moving forward. 'Cause I just don't know how long it's going to take for all this to come in.
I just have a
Yes, sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
Has nothing to do with your budget.
Okay.
When the dog is in the K-9 vehicle,
Yes, sir.
are they seat belted in?
No, he'd probably chew through it.
Huh?
He'd chew through it. Yeah, that's why it's all metal. That's why we removed the
Headrest?
because otherwise they'll chew through those too.
He's riding free and easy, huh?
Yeah, he rides free and easy, and that's the good part about the kennels that are made. It's specific for the vehicle, so if it's a side impact or if they roll over or something like that, it protects our asset.
Hardworking
Yep.
officer.
Very good.
I don't know. I mean, before I got here in 2016, the officer got in an accident and because of the icy roads, and the pizza ended up in the back, and the dog ate the pizza.
Okay.
Well, that's being flexible.
Yeah, dog was full. He didn't care.
Okay. Dena, we're okay budget-wise?
Sure, so it sounds like we'll just need to figure out how much we want to take out of drug forfeiture. It looks like it's 20% out of drug forfeiture and the rest out of Fund 15 fund balance. So if you're good with that, we can work out the details.
Okay.
Sure.
We okay?
Yep.
Motion?
I move that we approve the additional funds for the purchase of the K-9 vehicle to come out of fund balance and asset forfeiture money.
I second the motion.
Oh, sorry, drug forfeiture.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 14, contract for janitorial services and environmental control, KCSO.
Tom Reed for the record.
Okay, Tom?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
This is, in front of you is a proposal requesting to hire a janitorial service to help with maintaining multiple buildings on and off the sheriff's campus.
Okay.
I've contacted HR. Dena and Michelle are involved. And what we're proposing is using the vacant position, second maintenance position, to fund this for the year. And then hopefully come forward, add it into the budget moving forward to have this as a service ongoing.
So, Tom, so you're looking at just continuing the one maintenance spot, which is currently filled, and then for the funds for the second maintenance spot using this contractor?
Yes. Yeah, Stephanie's overworked as
Yeah.
as you can imagine. We've got over 169,000 square feet of office space, so this is desperately needed.
Okay.
Motion?
I move that we approve the contract for the janitorial services, environmental control, and our KCSO organization.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 15, approve quotations for the maintenance for the walk-in freezer at KCSO. Is this also Tom?
Yes, it is. In front of you is the quotes I've gone through. I've actually gotten 2 other quotes, but they were twice as much for the equipment itself. So in total, we're looking about saving about $1,200 from what was budgeted to get this project off the ground.
And that's the 24,000?
It's a 30.
36,406.
It is,
Oh, okay. It's additive.
was budgeted, and it's
Right.
about 34 plus with the
Right.
Or,
Yep, I got
all
it.
the
I'm
add-ons.
fine.
okay.
Okay.
Do we have a warranty with that? And if so, for how long?
Yes, it's a 3-year warranty on parts and equipment.
You okay?
Yeah.
Parts and labor.
Just wanted to know.
Okay.
And basically what we'll be doing is clearing out the big one that's kind of blocking where medical is, so it'll allow for emergency equipment in and out easier. So we're basically swapping a giant unit for 2 smaller units. I've talked to the kitchen, and they're good with the size.
Okay. Tom, you had said something about a salary savings of $1,900. Is that for another item?
That's for the janitorial contract. We're going to use that second position to fund
Okay.
the contract for 2022. And there's about $1,900 salary savings, and that's as of October 1st.
Okay.
So it should be even more savings.
Okay, it just was on my documentation, it was put on the freezer agenda, so I wanted to make sure that it was not for the freezer. So I move that we approve the walk-in freezers for KCSO.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 16, Consolidate Energy 8205 and Utilities 8206 bills under the BOCC admin organization set 10.1.003.0 for monthly payments. Auditor Dena, please.
So the clerk's division is always looking for ways to save time and money and to simplify processes. So we did a quick analysis of all of the utility bills, electricity bills around the county. And the BOCC, the jail, and solid waste make up most of that amount. So considering the size of our budget and considering the size of these bills, and we monitor these bills on a monthly basis both at the location level and at the AP level for any anomalies. We are asking that you consider that we take all of the budgets for these from all the departments except for solid waste and just move all of those budgets to the BOCC and just pay them all out of one work set for all the utilities across the county. It would save a lot of hours of time for a lot of employees to just consolidate everything onto one big bill. We'd still have the breakout of all the locations on the bill, but we wouldn't get 500 separate pieces of paper to have to process. So something to consider. We would like to move on this fairly quickly since we've already started into our fiscal year because we would have to reclassify some expenses back to the BOCC now that we've paid some bills. So just wanted to float that idea and see what you thought.
So we had talked about this internally several different times, and my concern's always been that I want to make sure that the department is keeping track of these. And my understanding is with this process, they still are going to be doing this. They're still going to be budgeting for it, but they're not going to be paying it.
Right.
So if that makes sense, I mean, I'm total agreement with that. So as long as they're, it's still under their budget, they're responsible for it, but then they're not going to be paying it.
Right.
So, okay.
Bill, you okay?
Yes.
Nancy?
We would like to ask if it does get moved to the BOCC's 003 account, that the auditors be the budget for that each year, because there's no way for us to be able
Right.
to tell what each department's gonna use for their
Sure.
Yeah.
utilities. So if the auditor's office would agree to do the budgeting under those, we would appreciate that.
Sure.
Yep.
We can do that.
Motion.
Don't know if we need a motion. Do we need a
Do
motion?
we need a motion?
I think it's just direction.
Good for the board to agree, considering this is a
Okay.
substantial change in how the auditor does this.
Okay, that's fine. I move that we approve the consolidation of the energy and utility bills under the BOCC, org set 10.1.003.0.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips,
Aye, motion's carried. Item number 17, Resolution 2021-105, appropriation of fiscal year 2021 contingency funds. Dena.
Thank you, Commissioners. So you have before you the resolution. This is our annual process of taking our contingency funds, looking at each elected group and covering where there needs to be coverage so that everybody is under budget. So we had done some entries mid-year for some investigation costs and for some equipment repair that had been approved and already moved. So all we have left is the sheriff. Contracted medical services were way over what was budgeted. However, we are still under what our contingency budget was, and we'll be returning $359,250 back to the general fund
Of contingency.
of contingency that will go back into fund balance.
Sure. Do we have an overall what was returned in 21?
I can look it up for you.
Okay. Okay, no worries.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2021-105, which is the appropriation of fiscal year 21 contingency funds.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips,
Aye, motion's carried. I think we can probably combine 18 and 19, which are resolutions 2021-110, 2021-111 to classify and destroy respectively records for the treasurer.
Anybody on the line for the treasurer's office? You want to take it, Steve? Green, you got to push the button. Thank you.
Regular maintenance, I stand for questions.
Okay.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2021-110 and 111, which is the classification and destruction of records per Idaho code in the treasurer's office.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Phillips,
Aye, motion's carried. Item number 20, discussion of an amendment to Vital Core Health Strategies. That's our provider for inmate medical services. The contract with KCSO. Captain Deak, go right ahead, sir. Lieutenant Ellis.
Before the board, we're here to present a platform for them to propose an amendment to our current contract for FY '22 that we're currently involved in. The crux of this falls on two things. One is the increased need for mental health care in the jail. As you know, we've been plagued with several medical incidents related over the last year. I think it's got risk management. They've looked at the model that's been presented before, and then they took over in July with the contract early as we were sent off a private contractor that wasn't performing our standards. And then secondly is the need for retention and recruitment in this area. As you know, that's something that we've been looking at because the cost of living and housing has gone so low. They're experiencing extreme difficulty getting represented medical staff there to care for the inmates. So part of that proposal is there to multi-aid funds under the mental health component being added for this year and in the years perpetual with the contract if we renew. But I'm going to turn it over to Roger, who's prepared to
Roger, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm Roger Hayden. I'm president of this development for Vital Core Health Strategies, and we're not in the same place, but I think our vice president of marketing, who's primarily responsible for RFP proposals, is on as well. I think you all have had the opportunity maybe to have the amendment before you and a memo that we sent giving a rationale for what our cost experience has been. And so I won't spend a lot of time with that, but I would like to answer any questions you have, certainly. But primarily what we found is two areas, and they're both related to staffing. Some of this might be a result of the conditions that we're all experiencing over the last year and a half in terms of staff and staff shortages and what that's done, both to cost of living in places and to salary expectations and others. But one of the things that we do when we come into a new site is to do a risk assessment based on what we see as the acuity level of the inmate population in terms of especially mental health acuity as well as physical health issues. And one of the things that we've noticed in the last year or so is that a lot of agencies, because of the pandemic, have changed their custody classification a little bit in terms of who they're accepting in and who they're putting out for recognizance and that sort of thing in order to give them room both to do quarantining and isolation if necessary and just to manage the population. So what you wind up with is a population that often just has a greater need for care and, of course, they also represent more serious offenses. And so sometimes that acuity level of what the inmate patients are needing didn't make its way into the initial specifications of the RFP because it just wasn't assessed. And the second is what we're experiencing, again, in a lot of places in the country, but there's just been a tremendous impact on employment and the compensation rates that are expected in a lot of fields, but certainly we notice it in healthcare and correctional healthcare. You all are located in a very beautiful part of the country, but there's a lot of competition for people there between Spokane County to the west in Washington and the areas around Kootenai. So we were finding just that our initial estimates for compensation were really too low to even retain the current staff and certainly not to recruit additional staff. So the two things that we really want to make sure that we do for safe correctional health care is to provide an adequate number of staff and a stable staff that is trained well and has the experience to do what needs to be done without a lot of turnover. I think what we found is that previous to July, there had been quite a bit of turnover in the staff. And in some cases, there was not enough, in our opinion, not enough hours of provider time. So what we've done is staffed up to what we think is the minimum safe level, especially for mental health. We've increased the mental health providers by 4 hours, and then the mental health consultants or the mental health counselors by 1 full FTE. We increased the medical provider. I think we doubled the hours for that person, and we've increased nursing staff by 1 FTE. So just in terms of quantity, those were the areas that we saw as being necessary for safe care. And then when we looked at the market study and we did a more contemporary market study, we tried to make our rates competitive with what we were seeing as the average salaries in Washington State as well as in Idaho, since you all are so close in proximity. And that resulted in increasing the compensation rates so that we could both retain and recruit staff. And as far as I know, I just checked yesterday, and I think except for the mental health counselor that we're still seeking, the nursing staff are full. So, and according to the HSA, that's the first time that's happened in she said the 10 years she'd been there, but certainly it's been quite a while since they've enjoyed that level of stability and staffing. So those are the two main areas that we looked at in terms of a stabilized program. And of course, that's where the lion's share of the cost increases come from.
Okay, so let me just make a notation here. We have another meeting coming up at 3 o'clock. We've got about 17 minutes. This is indicated as a discussion. It's obviously going to take further consideration. What's your pleasure, Bill?
Well, I met over the phone with Vital Corps and the jail staff, and initially I was not terribly convinced or warm toward the idea. But after listening to their explanation and having been in healthcare myself, I think it's warranted. I think it's something we need to do. But I think we need to discuss it more as a board.
Leslie?
Yeah, I mean, this is just open for discussion, so, I mean, it's.
Okay, so I'm certainly not prepared to take this up any further today, so what I'd like to do is defer this. We have a couple of items, or at least a few items, this being one, joint powers being another. I'm beginning to wonder if we just didn't overload this particular business meeting. Typically, it's the other way around. We finish in 30 minutes or less. But I think going forward, if we're going to have major issues, challenges issues on the agenda, we're going to have to basically limit the number of items. So we could take this up. What's the board's pleasure? We could take it up next week, or do you think we need a special meeting? What would you?
Well, if you want more presentation, if you want to talk to Vital Corps more, then I think we should have a special meeting set aside. If you are fine with, contemplating it over the week and then looking at the contract on next Tuesday's business meeting, it's up to you. I can go either way.
Bill, you're thinking we should put it on for next week?
Yes, till next week.
Okay, I'm having some issues with the increase, so I don't know whether a presentation's going to resolve that, or I just take the time.
Well, I think getting into some of the details, which we don't have time to do here now, and the fact that I almost look at it like we didn't know what COVID was going to do inside the jail, and that required some different processes. So this is the same thing. Where our jail population community is right now is requiring different care than they did a couple years ago, and even as early as last year.
Okay, where does the money come from?
Good question. I heard the contingency number thrown out earlier. That's an option. We also have, with Vital Corps, since they've taken over our contract, has significantly reduced our hospitalizations out of the facility. So we did budget money in our B budget for that. We'd like to maintain that money in case something happens between now and, say, March or April next year. We don't know what's going to happen, but if something catastrophic does, we're going to eat into that line item. But that money is there. But going forward in future years, we do have to budget for that contract increase,
Dena?
along with hospitalization.
Well, it sounds like there are some resources there.
Yeah.
What we could potentially do if the board agrees to it unanimously, we could kind of do a wait and see and wait till we get closer to the end of the year. And if you were in agreement, we could use contingency to backfill if we need it.
Okay, so let's reschedule this or put off the discussion to next week. How's that?
Just discussion, no. We're not
Well,
looking for
potentially.
motion.
Do you want to have it at 1 o'clock or 1:30? I don't know. Well, actually, I can look at the schedule because I have my computer right here.
What we can do is start at 1:30, so we can allocate a full 30 minutes to just this particular item. And then we can go into the business meeting and we can mark it for action.
Yeah, actually, we can have the discussion at 1:30 and then have it on the business meeting.
Have it on the business meeting.
Yep.
Okay. Does that work? Okay,
Roger,
Terry?
is that okay with you guys?
Does that work for Vital Corps? Will you be available next Tuesday at 1:30?
Pacific time?
Yeah, that'd be 3:30 our time, and we'll be available.
Okay,
that'll
thank
work.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, guys. Stephen? Okay, so that'll be one.
Yep.
Discussion joint powers agreement, Coeur d'Alene Regional Airport. Do you want to take it up now? Do you think you need more time?
All it is whether the board has any interest in starting the conversation because with the cities, and if there's direction for that.
And would it be just the cities?
just the cities,
We're talking about Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, Hayden,
Hayden and Rathdrum.
and Rathdrum, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if there's
Okay. So it's just a,
The board feels that we can have a conversation, you're not agreeing to anything, it's just starting a conversation.
We talked about the advisory board update and you weren't here. And so we were split and that's why
Yep.
it's here now.
okay. I don't have a problem with the conversation. It can either go forward or it doesn't based on what we discover. We do have a couple of joint powers boards that are operating, Hayden, obviously, Harbs, and then, of course, EMS. But that doesn't mean it'll necessarily work in this case, but it's certainly, I think it's something worth looking into.
So then I would just ask that I be involved in the conversations and then should there be significant interest, then I would say, then I have my ideas about a committee and a different agreement. I was not impressed with this agreement that was put forth. I think there's some severe inadequacies with it and concerns, so
And
those are the things I would ask.
I think you just offered that as an example, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a starting point, that's all it is.
Oh, okay. All right, then, so then, do we have a motion to go forward with exploring this?
I don't have one.
It's listed as just a discussion item.
That's true.
So I don't think you're just starting the
Direction.
conversation.
Oh, okay, so you're basically just looking for direction. So, okay, thank you, Ronnie. Okay, so, fine, we can initiate the discussion. Bill, can you take the lead on that, along with, and I'll back you up. Okay.
So you don't want me involved in the
Oh, no,
conversations with the
absolutely.
cities?
No, we do. on
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
Okay.
But somebody has to, we have to assign it to somebody. Or I guess we can all three be, yeah, absolutely, be involved.
Okay.
Okay, so that takes care of, so now we're basically our, if you want to call them action items, moving on to status. Let me start first with Dena. I'm going to mix it up a little bit.
Yep.
Dena, the financial snapshot, go right ahead, please.
Okay, I'll make it real quick. So we're at our quarterly point. So I had sent you a little map of the quarterly report, and I don't know that if you've taken a peek at that. If we look at the county as a total, with grants and projects and everything, we're at about 69% spent. However, adding all of our new grants, including the ARPA funds, our unaudited adjusted budget for 2021, if you count in all the grant monies received or pledged, we're at about $174 million total budget. That's a new watermark. It's a new record, but that's being driven by grant funds. Yeah. So.
Goodness gracious.
Uh-huh.
So it's big. It's big. We're getting bigger. So then on page 20.
And I don't
think we have.
We don't have ours yet.
But that's all right, go ahead.
Okay, because normally you get these, I'll make sure that you get them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do have the map.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just talk through this real quickly, and then if you have questions offline, I can definitely go through that. So on page 20, we have property tax by fund. We've collected 101%. That means that we've had some prior year amounts that we've collected as well as our current year. That's why we get over the 100%. And then through those pages, it gives you more detail on that. Page 25, fund balances. This is before we're going to do our fund balance, our assigned fund balance change. So this is just where we are at the end of the year, and it'll be adjusted for any budget use we have for 2022 and your new assignments, and that'll be coming early in the new year.
Okay.
The green pages, as you know, are the hot sheets. So the references there speak to, with analytical comments, anything that's over 100%, so you know what's driving those things. And then the grant portfolio, again, last page, I think this is just worth noting. Our current grant portfolio now is at $68.9 million. The quarter before that, it was at $31.7 million. So obviously ARPA, but we're managing literally twice as much grant money that we were.
And I think we now have twice as many FTEs managing that too.
So, just so you know.
So it's basically the grants that push the budget from 108 to almost to 174.
Yes, and most of the analytical comments that you'll see in the hot sheet are just driven by things like overtime. We had some departments go over because they were paying for those year-end bonuses, and they may or may not have had those resources at the department level. So you'll see those departments go over in their budget, but at the total level, they're covered.
Okay, okay.
So that's the meat and potatoes. If you have any questions, I'll make sure that you get those paper copies up when you have a chance to review those, and just reach out.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Any questions for Dena?
Nope.
Okay, we've got 7 minutes to the next meeting. Okay, impact fee analysis, Bill.
I've done a lot of work on that, talked to Ann Westcott with Galena Consulting. I would suggest we invite her up at her earliest convenience to meet with us and talk about that in a special meeting. And I also provided both commissioners all the information that I've accumulated thus far.
Oh, that's on the jump drive.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, do you want to set that up then? Separate meeting?
I will.
Okay. All right, thank you. North Lot land sale?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Skeet and Gun Club? Nothing further at this time? Okay. Panhandle Village Water Project? I signed a letter of support. Can we take this on?
Right, but Jody wanted it left on for anything that
Okay.
comes up, so,
Okay, ongoing.
yes.
Okay. Did I miss anything?
Well-
Pack Airport lease?
I think you have the most updated info
Yeah,
on
I
that.
just spent about 40 minutes with Wally. He did get the proposed lease, which calls for, I think it's 25 cents a square foot for the first, I think it's 10 years. He thinks that may be a bit much, so he proposed something different. So I told him to get with Stephen. We might be able to still follow the same methodology, which is to graduate it, but I think maybe we need to start them with a little bit less, but at least get on track. But that's if the board agrees. If we don't, we got a different issue. But
Sure.
are you guys okay if he negotiates this or takes it up with Stephen?
That's fine. It's just, that's what they've been doing for 2 years
Yeah, I
now,
know.
so-
Well, no, it's not going to be a buck. I think he's thinking in terms of starting out at about 10 cents a square foot and incrementing it by 5 cents a square foot every 3 years thereafter.
Okay, we can always review it.
Okay, fair enough. So I'll tell him to talk with Stephen. All right, thank you.
Facilities is the last.
Facilities is the last one?
Actually, we've got something after this, but no update for facilities. It's the same thing that stands. I'm working on it. And then ARPA statements. So at the end of each meeting, it's a request from the ARPA team that you just read that blurb.
Where's the blurb?
Right there on your sheet.
Oh, the yeah. Okay, so the ARPA statement says request, requests for Kootenai County ARPA funding are now undergoing evaluation. If you have any questions or comments about the American Rescue Plan Act, that's ARPA, or Kootenai County's evaluation process, please direct them to the ARPA, ARPA, at kcgov.us email address. And that's for anyone who might be interested. Anything else?
I think just public comment. That's
Okay.
it.
Public comment? Hearing nothing there? Okay, I've got 2:56, meeting adjourned. Thank you.